This is CNN Tonight, live from New York.
President Obama is meeting with his war council in the next 30 minutes as he nears a final decision on the military's future role in Afghanistan. That decision is now expected after the Thanksgiving holiday. Joining me for more now on the president's highly anticipated announcement is Hillary Mann-Leverett. She's the CEO of Strategia. She worked as the director for Iran, Afghanistan, and Persian Gulf Affairs for President George W. Bush's National Security Council. She also served as a political advisor for the U.S. mission to the United Nations in the Clinton administration. Malou Innocent also joins me. She is a foreign policy analyst at the Cato Institute. As we said, tonight's strategy session is the last. The president has sort of indicated not to expect a decision on whether or not to send more troops to Afghanistan until after the holiday. Hillary, Republicans have accused him of risking the mission by dithering on this decision. Is there really any risk to him waiting, or is it the prudent thing to do?
Well, I think the wait has been detrimental for U.S. interests and frankly for our troops on the ground. Keep in mind that Obama initially sent 21,000 troops there before his initial strategy in March. Then we were told that his strategy unveiled in March of this year was going to be the strategy to win in Afghanistan. Then we found out from his special envoy that we don't know what victory would look like. We don't know what it would mean to win in Afghanistan. So I think the major problem with this drawn-out process has not been that the president is deliberate and wise in trying to take everyone's counsel. It's been that he has put a huge question mark over all of the players and pieces on the ground for the strategy that we currently have.
Malou, what do you think about that? You have suggested that the president finds himself in a lose-lose situation when he waits like this.
Right. I think that President Obama has painted himself into a rhetorical corner in concerns with Afghanistan. At the beginning of his administration, he's called it a war of necessity, a war we must win. But after the aftermath of the recent elections in Afghanistan, after Hamid Karzai won, after the vote rigging and the fraud tainted elections, it was sort of a rude awakening for the Obama administration in the sense that you need a legitimate host nation government in any sort of counterinsurgency campaign, and that's incredibly lacking. But I think also the speculation over whether Obama's dithering or not, I think we risk vastly oversimplifying the complexity of the issue at hand. Again, this is not simply about the Taliban anymore. This is a broader regional complex issue, and this also sort of underscores the problem that we have with Al-Qaeda. It is a global network. It has cells in many countries around the world, and it's not simply based in Afghanistan anymore. It's in many other countries.
Well, you have said that the left will say by waiting that he had a chance to scale down the mission and didn't. The right will say that he waited too long for to give Stanley McChrystal what he wanted. What do you think, Malou? Is he doing the right thing by waiting, by gaming all of the possibilities out here?
Well, I'm happy you brought that up. I think that on the left, among his Democratic power base, that in one sense, a year from now, if things do sort of deteriorate in Afghanistan, as many people expect, that many people on his left will say that you didn't take the opportunity to de-escalate the war. You actually increased the number of troops. And on the right, I think we'll see that many on the right will say that you didn't fully operationalize McChrystal's strategy. So again, I think that he'll take a beating on either side.
Hillary, the White House seems to be getting this, at least in recent days, this idea that in addition to having more troops on the ground, if they are to go with a surge strategy, they also need to have an exit strategy.
I think they are focused on an exit strategy, though I don't know whether that is really going to be an exit strategy. What they need is a serious political strategy on the ground that takes players on the ground in Afghanistan as they are, not as we wish them to be. So it means stopping this alienation of the current government in Afghanistan and its president for all of his flaws. We need to deal with him. We need to have a coherent political strategy that brings in all the players, the warlords, the Islamists, the militants, the tribal chiefs. We need a rigorous, relentless political strategy, not something that's focused on 10,000 more troops or 20,000 more troops or even 40,000 more troops.
You know, the issue of corruption, Malou, is huge in Afghanistan. President Karzai has appointed this corruption commission to look into it, but it is just so widespread from the top all the way down. Is it realistic to expect that he can do anything about it? Is it a pipe dream for the United States to believe that there could be any kind of real representative corruption-free government in Afghanistan before it puts more troops in there?
Well, I would agree with Hillary in the sense that we sort of lost focus of why we are in Afghanistan. The objective here is to go after al-Qaeda network that was responsible for 9/11. And I think if we focus too heavily on eradicating corruption and sort of further demonizing Hamid Karzai, who unfortunately has to be our partner for the next several years, that it serves to undermine the true purpose and our strategy in this region. And I think moving forward, we must understand that the the top-down look that we've had toward Afghanistan of having a centrally administered facade placed onto its pre-existing society is ahistorical. It has historically been governed by an amalgamation of various tribes and clans and warlords, and we have to sort of reconcile what we want Afghanistan to be with what it really is on the ground.
And let me ask you both this, too, just as we close out here. The Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, discussed this at length the other day in one of these meetings, the idea of trying to win over members of the Taliban, those who are, I guess, termed economic Taliban, by paying them more than the Taliban is paying them to fight. Instead of giving them $10 a day, the U.S. gives them $20. Might save some money in the long run. It kind of worked in Iraq. Would it work, Hillary, in Afghanistan?
I don't think so. I think that's a wrong-headed strategy. What we need to be focused on are the Taliban who matter, the Taliban who will have a say in the decision-making for the future of Afghanistan. They need a seat at the table. We can't wish them away or kill them all. Trying to convert kind of the low-level people is really a waste of time, and I think will be counterproductive.
Malou, what do you think?
Right, I think we do have to go for the senior leadership, those who actually have the decision-making process in their hands, and really that brings in the whole regional context. There are countries in this region that have an incentive to see Afghanistan remain weak, and unless we bring them to the table, then we'll be there in perpetuity.
Malou Innocent and Hillary Mann-Lever, good to talk to you tonight. Thanks both for coming in. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.